Good afternoon, everyone. Super excited today to join you and to meet with Kirby, who's going to be telling us all about how she uses theater in her classroom. So she's a theater teacher and she is amazing. Her content she creates for her students are so fun. So we'll get her on here in just a second. So for those of you that have not been here before, welcome to our weekly Monday Instagram live chats. I am Sarah Krajewski, an art teacher in Wisconsin, and we host different creatives and teachers and people to kind of get the conversation going. So I hope you all are having an amazing long weekend, hopefully long weekend. And go ahead and just tell me where you have joined from today, or if you're an educator or a creative, as we wait for Kirby to join our chat as well. Now, along the way, if you have a question about anything that she's chatting about, or anything you kind of are just wondering about how to integrate theater or performance into your own classroom, then just go ahead and drop that into our conversation and we can make sure that we ask her about it. And one of my favorite things about our conversation that we're going to be talking about with Kirby today is that it's not just one more thing. So I know this year has been a lot for a lot of educators, and I'm excited about how we can collaborate instead of adding, right? We're just kind of making our curriculum even more exciting. So wait, Kirby will be joining us. Hello, my friend.
Hey.
How's it going?
Can you hear me on this?
Yes, you sound perfect.
Okay. I always feel like it's
great.
an echo if I don't use a headphone.
No, it's good. It's good. It would just be more dramatic if it was echoey like this. Quite a special scene. Well, welcome, Kirby. I'm so happy to chat with you today. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. I'm loving these earrings you're wearing. Did you paint these? What are these?
Yeah, it's polymer clay, and I was just going to compliment yours too. I'm obsessed. What are those made from?
They're beaded. Believe it or not, like little unknown, maybe little known. Anyway, Joann's, if you're ever looking for some like really cute earrings, Joann Fabrics always has like 50% off earrings. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Starting off with a hot tip, Kirby. I love it. Well, welcome to the chat today. I know we're super psyched to discuss, and like I said, a lot of our audience is art teachers, but we're joined by creatives, educators of all kinds, and I think it'll be exciting for everyone to hear how it's not like performance needs to be something that's part of your classroom, but how it's going to be really beneficial and awesome for you to just collaborate with people. Like, you have such amazing ideas and you're so talented in your field that it's just like an untapped resource if you're not using people like you in your profession. So can you give everybody just like a quick recap, like who's Kirby, what do you do, what's your job, where you at, all that stuff?
Yes, real quick, I meant to say this when I first hopped on here. You are a lifesaver. My son loves your YouTube channel. Was it yesterday or Saturday? He said, "Can we watch the lady who teaches me how to draw?" He has like really been trying his best to like draw in time without us pausing it. And the very first day, he watched like 6 videos in a row. So
you're so sweet.
He loves your channel.
I appreciate that. All of us art teachers, we're trying to make so much virtual content in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
So fast. But thank you. That's very sweet.
But my name is Kirby Dione. I am a elementary theater teacher. I'm so happy that those two words can go together because it's rare that you hear it. But I'm an elementary theater teacher here in Atlanta, Georgia. Little background, I graduated from Hampton University with a degree in technical theater. So as much as I'm, all over the place, my first love is actually behind the scenes. Like musicals are my thing to perform in, but typically you will see me in all black behind the backstage, building and creating and sewing and whatnot. And so I did that for a few years and kept having this little itching towards teaching, which my paternal grandmother always tried to push me towards. I'm like, a teacher? And finally, so that story isn't too long. Finally, it was where I really think I should be a teacher. And so when I interviewed, I was thinking to myself, I'll be a kindergarten teacher, but little do you all know, I'm going to be a theater teacher one day.
Yeah.
So I've just been blessed that, everything has lined up the way it's supposed to be for me to be a elementary theater educator. So
yeah, I mean, that is such, I feel like, a special thing that you're able to connect with your kids in that way and give them the opportunity to perform and to show that artistic side, because again, there are so many forms of art and our students don't always have the chance to explore with those, right? They don't always have that kind of ability. So I know you just talked about like how you clearly have a connection and a background with theater, but how do you feel like your spark what started from the beginning? Like, what's the origin of your love of theater and performing, even if it was behind the scenes?
Oh, no,
And
it's
how do you sort
fine.
of integrate that into how you teach kids?
So as a young kid, if my mom was on here, she would probably be doing this. They said, Um, I would put together plays. I would get my younger cousins and I would like wrap them up in sheets and I'm like, this is your costume. This is the play we're performing. And I would like have them go put a play on in front of my mom and my grandparents. And that was like the thing I did. I was a kid who at the book fairs, I was like, ooh, a book on photography. Ooh, a book on acting. Like I just always loved to create. And so funny enough, as a child, I actually wanted to be an illustrator. Like you could not tell me I wasn't going to. I remember one of the little career days, they tried to tell me I came in my colorful vest. This was the 90s. I came in my colorful vest because that's what an artist wears, right? And I showed my colorful vest. I got my little sketch pad. And it was the teacher who told me, no, that's not it. Why didn't you do this or that one? And even in high school, as I'm like picking out colleges, everyone was trying to push me towards law school. It's like, you'll be a great attorney. And it was just something in me that was just like, no, I really want to get into the arts. And with theater, I felt like it combined everything that I love, as my husband would joke, me being extra and being able to create. Because there's so many avenues in theater to be able to create. So I chose technical theater because I love drawing people mainly. And I was like, ooh, costumes. And so from there, you know, again, trying to make the long story a little shorter. I've always loved to read and whatnot to children, even as a kid. Is like, hey, little kids, I'm going to read this book to you, and I'm going to be extra while I do it. So the spark finally came, though. It was about a year before the world turned upside down that I really was like, I want to do a kids YouTube channel, and I'm going to read, I'm going to do theater, and then I got scared, and I was like, never mind. No one knows about this, but like my best friend is like, never mind. And I psyched myself out, and then the world got turned upside down. And I had to teach virtually. And originally, the enrichment teachers, we had to record our lessons. And I'm like, how am I gonna do theater without an audience? And I was like, you know what? I'll do characters. I'll dress. The kids can't dress up like we would at school, so I'll dress up for them. I'll read stories. And so then I had parents and some of my coworkers like, you should really get a channel. And once again, I kept scaring myself out of it. So finally, being my extra self, I dressed like the character from Room on a broom for class one day. I did this whole spooktacular read aloud for October. I gave my kids little masks and stuff to dress up with me for the book we were doing, my kindergartners. And I had full witch nose, everything. And I said, no better time like the present. And as soon as I pressed in on my class, I turned my camera on and I recorded it. So that was finally me getting out of my way and saying, you know, you've been dying to do this. Just do it.
Yes. I am so proud of you. I honestly, I feel like you've been doing it for so long. Everyone, I will be sure to link up to Kirby's YouTube and her Instagram and everything like this, because your production quality is so fun and just your energy is so electric. It's like the kids get so psyched even if they're not there in front of you. It's so amazing. You were made to do this. So I am so glad that at that time you didn't listen to that teacher and said, you know what, I'm going to find my own way. I know what I love and I know where I need to be, and keep pushing through that for that dream. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And it's sad, not to try to steer off too much, but the fact that if you're the smart kid, that people think, no, you have to be a doctor. No, you have to be an attorney. And people think that the arts are just the dead end, you know, that's something you do. It's not something you do kind of thing. And so it's really sad that because I was an honor student that so many people tried to push me away from it. Although my mother was one of the people thinking I would be a great attorney, I was happy she backed me when I told her I wanted to study technical theater. And she was at every performance and cheering me on all the way through. So I'm very blessed to have a supportive family when I dropped the bomb of I'm gonna be an artist.
I I do. I'm so glad you had that support as well, for sure. But that is an interesting point that you bring up, that there is something about, like, if you have sort of these maybe more traditional smarts for, academics and things like that, that there has to be a field that's directly connected to that. But we all know as artists, it takes a whole bunch of brains to be an artist, to plan, to perform, to, think, get out of your own head, right? All of that is a different kind of smart. Maybe it's not like a book smart situation, but there is a different type of intelligence, artistic intelligence, that comes from that type of creative thinking. So I'm glad that they saw that and were able to support that as you noticed that it was a passion of yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll try to turn the conversation upside down a little bit, right? You can be a smart, amazing person and also be an artist, and they can go hand in hand.
Yeah, because unfortunately people think that when other people aren't creative, they think being an artist is just like an easy thing. They don't think of all the studying that comes into it and the sharpening of your skills and whatnot. They just like, oh, he can draw.
Oh yeah. And don't even get me started on like business side of that for people that are like working artists. There's so much there. So I'm glad that you're able to find your path a little bit there too, and that your school supports you in that way. So let's bring it back to what your school environment looks like, because I'm so interested in how you're able to have a fully run, full-time theater educator at the elementary level. What does that look like? I know last year was probably a little bit different than maybe you had planned, but can you just give us a recap of what it did look like, what you're hoping it will look like, and then about just like the performances in general that you do with your kids, because I know they're really special.
Yeah, so I teach kinder through fourth grade. Originally, it was like a test year. I was teaching first grade, and they did a test year of me only teaching fourth grade theater, which was a lot. But now I teach kinder through fourth, and I designed my curriculum. Well, I've redesigned it now from what I've learned from them. I learned so much from them. But kinder and first grade, when we were still in the building, they basically did the same thing. First grade was given a little bit more. Second grade originally was going to have its own thing, but my second graders that year, the upcoming fourth graders now, they are so amazing. I was like, you guys can do what the fourth graders are doing. So it's like kinder through first had their thing, and then second through fourth had their thing. And with fourth grade, also wanted to mix in some technical theater. Unfortunately, things had shut down before we were able to really tap into that, because again, some kids' interests aren't on stage, and I don't want to disrespect that you think your grade is dependent on you being an actor, because that's not how I got my degree. I stepped on stage when I wanted to, and I stayed backstage most of the time. So my class also knows that participation also comes from being a great audience member. Are you being supportive? I give them the vocabulary to be able to give each other critiques and still be kind about it. So they know that they can say, I really liked when you were projecting. Next time, try not turning your back to the audience some more. So I'm very proud of my students that they can do that. Now, this upcoming year, I'm very excited because of learning from them and learning from my son being at home, who's an upcoming preschooler. He's going to big boy school. I don't even talk about it.
We won't talk about it.
But with homeschooling him originally, learning so much from him, having him home all the time, kindergarten, my curriculum, I've redesigned it to focus more on just dramatic play, just giving them the costumes and the props to just be able to, today we're going to be in a restaurant, and let them just run free with their imagination. And then with first grade, we're going to go more into like the creative drama, not too much, it's improv, but me giving them an idea of, you all read The Three Little Pigs this week. So now you're going to create that yourself, and just adding on each year. Like I want my program to be to where you were with me in kindergarten, so now you're going to learn something new in first grade. And to speed through a little bit, fourth grade will still end up focusing a lot on technical theater, because my one thing I'm looking very forward to, I just was talking about it yesterday, my husband's super excited. I want them to make props this year, because they enjoyed helping me. Yeah, they enjoyed helping with, like we did this Candytopia one year at our school, and some of the kids like wanted to help me make the really big candy props. And so I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna teach them how to make prop cakes. Like we're gonna get in teams, and we're gonna have like a bake off, and we're gonna make these props. So I'm looking very forward to having those days where they don't have to worry about learning lines or any of that. They can just come in, use their hands and their, just let those creativities just set them on fire. Like, I can't wait.
They are going to love that. I am so psyched to see and watch your progress with being able to have a little bit more independence in teaching those students, since this year was crazy, right? You were still able to connect with them for sure. But what did your year look like this past year?
So at my school, there are 4 different enrichments or specials, depending on where you teach or what you call it. We had each had 1 kindergarten class and then 1 grade level. So with kinder, this is their first year of school, even though it looked different from what everyone else. They were just excited especially at the beginning. So my 1 class, I was really able to jump in with them, and I dropped off, like I mentioned earlier. I found them the cutest little masks. So we're reading about skeletons. Put skeleton mask on. We're doing this. Go put that. But Foot Grit was my friend, and what's the other one? Seesaw was my friend. So because with grade level you have like 80 to 100 kids in the room at one time, it's really hard to get all the participation you would want. So I would tell them, like, at this time, here's your prompt. At this time, I want you to film yourself as either the superhero or the villain. And the cutest thing about this year were all the parents who would be in the videos. Like one of my first graders, he was the superhero. His little sister needed to be saved, and I think it was the dad who was like trying to take her doll, and he came in and did like some karate chops, and it was just the cutest thing ever, like seeing that family participation.
That's amazing.
Yeah, with the older kids, we did a lot of improv in class. My 4th grade class, I learned y'all don't really like to record videos. Some of them just wanted to watch their friends perform. It was like the same, like 12 kids who wanted to volunteer. And especially that last week of school, when my kids like an improv game, they really like an improv game. So I ended up being Judge Maybelline a few times in 1 week, which was really fun. My kids got creative with their courtroom scenes. They had surveillance camera footage and all kind of stuff. But yeah, so it was different. Like with the videos, I had to also get my editing skills up for school, because instead of being able to have Fine Arts Night in person and our Black History Month program in person, I'm dropping off green screens and having kids film themselves and trying to mash it all together to look like you're in the same room, or so I'm just very very proud of my students and very thankful of how resilient they were, because our first year we had a bang. Like I write most of my scripts, and so they were so excited to perform them on stage, and then it's like, well, how do we do it this time? And they still rocked it out. When I tell you that holiday program, it was a video theme. I was like, well, we got to be on screen, so how am I going to edit this? So it was like some kids being bored and watching TV and watching like different YouTube or Netflix shows, and they really rocked it. So
that's so fun.
I can't wait till they get their hands on scripts, and I have some ideas in case the school won't allow us to have an audience. So
I mean, you are bursting with ideas. I love it. I'm like, okay, how do you do this? How do you incorporate this into your classroom? How do you do this? It's so fun and inspirational to hear. And I think just real quick at the beginning of the chat, even before you were in here, I was trying to remind everyone, okay, so I'm an art teacher, you're a theater teacher, but that feels like a very appropriate collaboration, right?
Yeah.
So the staff that's lucky enough to work with you should hopefully be collaborating. And I know we just briefly chatted a little bit about how important it is to tap into those resources of art educators. Like, okay, you're talking props, you're talking like some making. Is that an important connection? We're talking about performance and writing scripts. Is there a literacy teacher or someone we can connect with there? So it's like a team effort. So do you want to talk a little bit about that collaboration piece and sort of your vision or how it's worked in the past for you too?
Yeah, so one thing I like to do, and I want to push myself to even do more, is, okay, what are you all learning in this module? So let's say I mentioned the Three Little Pigs. So if you all are reading the Three Little Pigs, so now I know that can be their creative drama piece, because I can reinforce story retelling by them getting up and improvising the book that they already have read a few times in class. And then even with like with the Black History Month program, like just really nailing into the history. I did not give them scripts until we spent days of watching video clips and reading different passages about these are the characters you're playing. Like I wrote these can I get my word? Historical fictions. There we go.
Yeah.
Based on, things that really happen. And if you don't know who these people are, I'm not giving you a script. So, and when it comes to collaborating, one of my favorite people, I'm so sad she won't be at our school this year, the art teacher, I absolutely adore her because she pushed me in a way, like she just really felt that there is no wrong in art. This is where it's coming from for a child. And, this is their interpretation. And she was all about arts integration. And we would just have the best conversations about art theory and whatnot. So I'm gonna really miss collaborating with her, but I'm really looking forward to building those relationships with our new art teacher and continuing to build those relationships with our current staff on ways we can bounce off each other so that our kids get a very well-rounded, without getting tongue-tied, there we go, well-rounded education.
I get it for sure. I mean, that is kind of what it's all about, right? Especially I feel like, I don't know about you, but I was feeling so much isolation as an educator. I'm like, okay, I'm doing my thing. We're in person. I'm still technically seeing teachers as I pass them in the hallway, but it's so not the same. So there's something really exciting about reconnecting again, about like, here's what I did last year that was really cool, or here's what I'm excited about in the future. And let's use that positive excitement and passion to sort of drive our collaboration. So that sounds like a great way to start it all. So I do also want to chat just a little bit about some of your virtual content and your digital creation, because like I said, I'm going to link up to your YouTube because you have some amazing costumes and stories and read alouds. So do you want to just give us a little bit of some background on like some of your favorite read alouds or like silliest costumes you've done, because you are a performer at heart, Kirby. Absolutely. So give us just a little sneak peek into what all that is like for you.
One of my favorite read alouds and costumes is from the video I did for When Grandma Gives You a Lemon Tree. That story is absolutely amazing. I was so happy I learned about that book. It's a very fun story. I really pushed myself. I was like, I don't have a blue necklace. And so I'm like making things out of felt and just really tapping back into my college days of we don't have a budget. So how are you going to make this? Like college theater or local theater will really make you get creative with your budget.
Oh, yeah.
But when I got dressed and I made the video, I was so thankful and so appreciative that the author and illustrator saw the pictures and were like, oh my goodness, like, this is a great interpretation of it. We hadn't seen it done like this before. And I really appreciated that feedback. But the best feedback from it was my son still quote, like, if I do the little voice, the grandma voice, like one day I said, dinner's ready. And he said, you're doing that grandma voice. I said, what grandma voice? Because I really was lost. And he was like, lemonade. And he remembered that I made that voice to be the grandma character on my voiceovers. And then if I do any costume with that particular wig, he's like, oh, you're going to be a grandma. So the fact that he gets like so excited about my costumes, and that was like the first time it happened to that level, like that one will always stick out to me. My silliest costume, I've had a few. I showed up to class, so I did, even though there's no character in the book who's purple. If you've heard of the story, The World Needs More Purple People. I painted myself completely purple, had purple hair and everything. The kids are like, you're purple. So I'm reading the story and I was like, wait, no one told me you didn't actually have to be purple. And so I was joking with him, but it was just really fun to like pop up in front of kindergartners in like full purple face. And that one sticks out to me too because my purple makeup did not show up in time. So I had to take purple eyeshadow and like blend it with some white base and like make it work.
So creative. I'm impressed. I was like, what is your face paint situation at home? Like just all laid out, colors everywhere. I love it.
My makeup I think I have more makeup now than when I was actually a makeup artist.
I mean, I get it though. I get it. It's like even more so to tell a story, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so before I forget, because I'm seeing here in the chat, first of all, everybody loves you. You got some fans in here, Kirby, because you got a good fan base going. But I also see someone was saying, do you either follow or know of any great resources for teaching stagecraft and drama and things like that to an upper level, like maybe a middle school setting or a high school setting, or what connections do you have to resources for those upper students?
Well, there is a book. I could send it to you, Sarah,
Yeah, I can
and if
link
you
up
could
to it.
link it. Yeah, I can't think of the
Yeah.
name of, but it's a really good stagecraft book for
Okay.
the older kids. And then there's a website. Hold on. What is it? DramaNotebook.com. If you ever heard of that, they have things from
Okay.
my son's age, from the little guys all the way up to high school. And there is one more. Hold on, that I really love for high school.
If you think of it, you can always
Yeah.
message me too, and I'll share them in the story as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, it can be tricky because you're very in the elementary world right now
Yeah.
too. But there's obviously a lot of content for those older students.
And then also, when it comes to high school, um, you can also use the resources that you would teach just drama, period, to
Oh, sure.
stagecraft, to, yeah, and then you just break it down more for them. So if it's something that you would teach to an adult, maybe in a 4-step process, you can teach it to students in high school or middle school in 8 steps. Because one thing that I do at my school, the middle school theater teacher and I have become like sisters. I love her.
Awesome.
And so I've had the opportunity to teach her students makeup. Like been able to take them to the
Ooh.
side before their productions. And so now we have a few little makeup artists at the middle school level, and I taught them how to do some character makeup. So it's just for the high schoolers and middle schoolers, it's really about breaking it down
Yeah.
into those digestible chunks. But they can definitely learn the same thing that you're learning at a college level or post-college. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I also love too hearing you just talk about all the different components of a performance. Obviously, we know there's not just the people that are on stage, right? There's so much that goes into it behind it.
Mm-hmm.
But like, even if as you just think of ways to express yourself or that creative mindset, it's like, okay, so maybe you just want to be like, you want to do the makeup, you want to do the fashion, you want to do the planning, the writing. There's like 1,000 different ways to
Yeah.
interpret the artistic expression of that. So that's pretty awesome. And showing them those opportunities, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about the books. We know your grandma outfit is pro. It's like where it's at. Or maybe the purple. I don't know. It's pretty cool too. But I know, especially at the beginning of the pandemic, a lot of educators and even, you know, myself included, we were wanting to do read alouds with different artists or authors, illustrators, their books. So I feel like you would know a little bit more. Just give us an insight into like what kind of permissions do you need, or like what are the sort of behind the scenes of how you actually make a read aloud video available to people on the internet. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I call myself doing my research at first, and there are people like, you just do it. It's no problem. Or because of the pandemic, it's like, there's no issue at all. No, guys, there is an
Yeah.
issue. So, if you want to do it for your students or, let's say a small group, like there were some COVID permissions that it was like, as long as it's live and it's not on a public platform, or like if you record it, it needed to be where people just had the direct link. Like if it
Right.
was for your students, it was an unlisted link. And I didn't know this originally. I was like, stop being afraid and make some videos.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
as I was telling my husband, I really love what I do, and I really want to make it available to more people. So I wanted to do my research. And so when I saw that, I was like, no more of those books, because I don't want it to be where a publisher or an author or
Right.
illustrator is insulted and doesn't want to work with me, let's say in the future, because it's like I just keep pumping out their materials without permission. So
Right.
there's actually a process that with some independent writers, I've been blessed that I've been sent a few books. Some videos I'm behind on right now, unfortunately, because I had a little health pause. But independent writers and illustrators a lot of times will send you their books, or if you want to reach out to them, it's an easier process because there's not so many levels to go through. But
Right.
when you're looking at those, let's say I'm just going to throw out one of my favorite books, The Day the Crayons Quit.
Yep.
That one would be a little trickier, and it's a longer process. So you might send a letter in January and hear back from them by March. But besides just wanting to make sure I'm doing things the right way, the other reason I paused from those type of books for right now is I have friends who are authors and illustrators, and even just being an artist myself, I don't want to disrespect someone's hard work. Like I watched my friend, um, she's the author of RJ's Kinky Curly Crown, and
Mm-hmm.
I saw how much went into that book, and I did not want to disrespect. Like if someone else went through this as much as she did or more, I don't want them to think that I just want I want to use their hard work to make money, even though I don't make money off my channel. Yeah, yeah. Let's throw that in there. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't want it to be where it's as if I'm like trying to take money out of someone's pocket or
Right.
disrespect their art. Because again, at the end of the day, I am an artist, and that never feels good when someone disrespects your hard work and everything that you poured into something. So you can, it's a little hard to find it when you Google it, but you can definitely Google and find those permissions and the steps for each publisher and what you can expect from it.
Yeah.
So prayerfully in the future, I will get some more of those permissions and I can continue to do those books. But I've been so happy with all these different books that people have submitted to me and authors and
Yeah.
illustrators that I didn't know about. So I'm very, again, I've just been overjoyed that people have reached out to me asking if I can read their books. It's like, me? Me?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's
Yeah.
kind of the dream, right? Is you're like, bring the
Yeah.
work to me. That's perfect. And it's almost like I see it as like a shop local kind of vibe too, because you're
Yeah.
like, who are the people I know? Who are the like, maybe less known authors or illustrators
Mm-hmm.
that are like working hard, to get their book out there and really try to use, not to say that people who have success don't deserve to have their things published,
Right.
but, or, to be out there, but it is kind of like this give and take too, where
Mm-hmm.
you want to help use your talent to, promote each other and help collaborate together. So I love that. I think that's an excellent mindset for sure. Okay, so we're also just real quick going to talk about, obviously, I know it was a struggle for you initially to decide to do like your videos. I'm so glad you did because they're awesome. But what tips did you learn along the way about just creating online content? Because I have a feeling that, as much as we're excited for next year and the change, there is still going to be some component of virtual creation, whether it's maybe just us learning that that's a way we can create and save content faster for sub days or sick days. But what tips and tricks did you learn along the way that you'd like to share with us about your content?
So originally I'm like, oh, iMovie, that's the thing to do. And then it was like I was going through so many steps trying to do iMovie. And this leads into a quick story of never be afraid to receive feedback and never be afraid to give feedback to your friends and family. Because
Yes.
One of my friends who was a former co-worker, we were catching up with each other. And somehow I got into the topic of, I have a channel now. And he's like, oh, send it to me. I'm so excited. And he messaged me back and was like, hey, sis, the videos look great, but your sound seems off by like a 0.1 second. I was like, that's just his phone. And then I was like, okay, no, he wouldn't just say that. I'm sure he like really rewound,
Yeah.
Anyway, and so I noticed, and what was happening was I was going from iMovie, trying to put the green screen and do all this, and like saving and redoing the video so many times that it actually did throw it off. Like, by just a smidge, but if you were really paying attention, that can, affect the quality of your work. So now I work with InShot. I have the paid subscription to that, and it's very easy to use. The Chroma, what's it called? Chroma. Hold on, come on, Kirby, you know it. The green screen stuff, all of that is on there, and all the different effects you can use. And then that same friend also told me about Power Director. Now I haven't quite learned that one yet. I did pay for the subscription, but InShot is your friend. They have the music that you can use without, getting in trouble, and it's not just the same 5 songs from iMovie. And then I also learned about Ben Sounds. That's another, speaking of free music, you can go on there and get, some great music. Because one of my favorite ones is from there from Aretha Franklin. I was like, this, okay, I see the little soul in this one. Okay, it's not your usual elevator music. I like this. But yeah, so YouTube had been my friend to even do that. So thank you, YouTube, because I'm like watching everyone's videos on, beginner things. And like I said, that even helped me out for our Christmas program. Because because I was so thankful the school listened to me. I was like, I need 6 green screens. And so we're dropping off green screens to kids, and they were so cute. It was so perfect. But that's also, again, like you said, something I see being used in the future. Like you said, sub plans.
Yeah.
I had a couple of times this year, health was like, you're not going to school today. You're not logging in. So the kindergarten teachers were like, we'll just show your video.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, or I can pre-record something and put it on Flipgrid or whatnot. So yes, it does become your own sub, especially as an enrichment teacher. It's either that or someone's gonna put Netflix on for your students. So
I mean, right, exactly. Might as well just have something that they are familiar with, that you know
yeah,
is going to be content based, that it's like, okay,
yes,
well, I'll just do their Netflix, right? It's all good.
yeah,
And I also love to just hearing you talk a little bit about being open-minded to feedback. I think one of the using that term is perfect, right? Because I know sometimes like I feel criticized, or like it's a
yeah,
critique, and like
yeah,
I'm like, ah! Like I'm trying my best, you know what I mean? But it's like, but if you phrase it as feedback, it can feel positive or negative, but it's always just out of love, right? Especially when it's
yeah,
family members and they're like, here's this thing, you know, that we're all learning, we're all trying our best. So feedback can be really helpful when we're trying to just support the, you know, the choices of our friends and family. So I love that. Okay, so we're kind of like wrapping her up here a little bit. We've got a couple more questions, and I do know that I wanted to just chat with how you see the connection between like art educators in general, and theater. What do you kind of envision? What will be the takeaways, I guess, for anyone else moving forward? Because I know the last thing I want is one more thing to have to reach out to someone else. But how can you give us a little bit of some words of advice about partnering with any type of specials teacher should we say, right? Specifically in theater, or maybe seeking one out for a different level. That was a very long question, but I'm just saying, like, tell us how we connect.
how can we put it together? Put the puzzle together. Yeah. So for me, no one yell at me. All right, no one yell at me. I really don't like the term core curriculum, and this is the thing, because it keeps being this separation that this is the real stuff and that's the fun stuff. And you can put the fun with the core curriculum, and you can put core curriculum with the fun. And the reason I don't like the terms core curriculum is simply because all of these things are very, I think foundational learning might be a better phrase, because you need reading for everything. So that's like the foundational learning. But when it comes to core means most important, the central, hub of learning. Everyone learns differently.
Yes.
Everyone learns differently. You might learn best from reading the book. I might learn best from being able to watch someone do it or listen to someone do it. And that just like seals it for me. Somebody might be able to just write the story. I might need to draw you the story first before I can get my words. And it doesn't make it less than or the person less than. It's all a part of learning. All of that is how our brain is developed. And especially at a young age, doing those doing creative drama or drawing, that helps a young mind develop. It helps them to be able to get those thoughts out. For example, there's a theater game called Yes and. I love to play with my kids, and I tell people it's actually a great assignment to do if they have like some creative writing coming up. You take whatever. You can take this pair of earrings and say, this is a pair of earrings. Yes, and it's a bracelet. This is a bracelet. Yes, and it's my toothbrush. It can be all over the place. It's a game. I would take, I used to build furniture. So I would bring a like random piece of lumber from my garage, and I'm like, all right, we're going to play this game. And you will be amazed. People, this is my best friend. This is the Statue of Liberty. This is like their brains are just going all over the place. And if you could teach your child that this is a piece of paper, but what else can be on here? Okay, like go from there. Like that book that I love, Grace and Box. Like it's a box, but she turned it into Roman ruins, and she turned it into a spaceship. The arts teaches our kids to just open up their minds. And one thing that I love that I read, I'm trying to remember what book it was, that people are like, oh, he's creative, be creative. But what does that mean? Creativity means thinking in new ways, in innovative ways. And if a child can tap into theater, they can tap into any form of art to help them think in a new way, then why not do it? You can use art to help a child figure out a math equation. You can use theater, like I said, to help a child really connect with a moment in history. Why not do it? You can just use it to help them express themselves. There have been times when we just, in theater, kids were able to just release what they were feeling. And the same for me. I remember one time during one of our social emotional learning moments where I had a moment and the kids like had to comfort me. My uncle had passed, and that was like my most beautiful. It was. I hated that it happened at school, but it was like my most beautiful moment at school that these kids, these fourth graders, surrounded me, and I was leaning on them. So it's not that, like I mentioned earlier, with, oh, you're smart, go do one of these smart jobs. We have to stop that. We have to stop that. And we have to stop thinking as teachers who teach specials that that's like the fun, that's the break time. That's the, no, that is a very important time of a child's day. It's a very important time of a child's day. And for some children, that might be the only time of the day where they truly get to shine, where they truly get to be appreciated for who they are. So that's what I want to encourage all art teachers, homeroom teachers. That's the phrase I like to use. You're a homeroom teacher. You're not a core curriculum teacher. But yeah, so that's if we could look at a child as a whole thing. Think about it. Even with the things you might watch. You might watch the History Channel and whatnot and do some real learning, and then you might watch some reality TV and let your brain break and watch TLC, watch HGTV, and now all of a sudden you think you can remodel your whole house. So the kids are the same way. They are just smaller people, and we just want to put them in these boxes that they don't fill in.
Oh my gosh, that is too good. I'm like, you are speaking truth right now. After this, I was going to ask you what words of encouragement you have, but I'm pretty sure you just did it, Kirby. I was like, come on, that was too good. But you are welcome to share. What do you feel like we need to take forward, moving forward? Because that is so true. Just meeting our kids where they are and seeing that, we know as our teachers, right? And I know other teachers can see that and notice that too. All of our kids are different. All of our kids learn in different ways. But also loving and respecting every subject matter that exists and seeing it as an opportunity for our own strengths, right? I don't want to teach math, but I don't devalue it because I know that that's not my strength. Right. But I will happily collaborate. I will happily see and encourage and know that that's something that's still important, right? So that's what a lot of that I'm hearing and reading true. So, okay, do you have any other advice moving forward before we do our sweet trivia question?
Yes. My advice moving forward, what I mentioned about creativity, not only for our children, but for ourselves, I encourage everyone to open yourself up to different possibilities to find what you're creative in. Because when people say, I'm not a creative person, you just haven't found what you're creative in yet. So you might not do theater. Maybe you're a singer. Maybe you're a sculptor. Sculptor? Yeah, that's the word. I was going to say sculpture, and I was like, that's not it. But yeah, so give your kids the opportunity. Like my son, he's the costume king too. He has a whole costume treasure chest, and he has instruments in the house, and he has a whole easel, and he has it all. I'm actually, my little art room does not look like his. But give them the opportunity to figure out what's their thing, and don't just tell them what their thing is, because you might think they're going to be this great soccer player, and maybe they're going to be a chess star. So give them the opportunity to figure things out, and don't be afraid to try and fail, because doing some of those moments of failure is when you really find your thing. For example, before I started the theater channel, I mentioned I was creating furniture. And like I said, I just love to create, and I got into creating furniture, and we got our new house. So I was like building table sets and all kind of stuff. And I still to this day, like at first when I had some health issues and I wasn't able to do it anymore, I got really, really sad. I mean, really sad, but that's my thing. Yeah. But I really feel like God wanted that out of the way, because I kept pushing back this thing that I wanted to do. And so I failed at that because I needed to grow in another moment. And so I needed to really find my thing. I wanted that to be my thing, but this is really my way to give back. I thought teaching kids how to use power tools are going to be it, but no. And down the road maybe, but but yeah. So don't figure out how you can create, and don't be afraid to do it. And artists, we're sensitive about our things, but it comes with it. It's like every time I push post on a video, I take a deep breath and I'm like, it's not mine anymore.
Yeah.
And I have to be okay. Like I told my mom, I don't have the thumbs up or thumbs down visible on my videos just because I don't want to be tempted to like be, you know, so focused on that. But I see them like, and every time I go to check like a video, I'm like, thumbs down just means it wasn't for them. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong for you. With
That's
you,
true.
it's just, I really don't like the, you know, maybe they didn't like the book, or maybe they didn't like how loud of a person I am. But I can't take it personally, because if I'm willing to accept the thumbs up for my creativity, I have to be okay with taking the thumbs down. So
completely.
Yeah, don't be afraid to create.
I will argue, a thumbs down feels like, come on.
Yeah, now I will say that it's like someone just really has to be being ignorant on the internet for me to be like, oh, right. But usually I'm just like, this wasn't my thing. And I go to the next video. And like sometimes when my son is watching, I'm like, wait, don't, I have to give them their thumbs up. You really liked it. Don't click off yet. Because I'm like, you're messing up their analytics.
She knows, you know how important that is. But I do appreciate your healthy mindset, because that can be very debilitating sometimes to just be like, but how's it received, and how's it, you know, perception of me? But I think that's also nice to model too for our students. And like, you know, a lot of your students watch your content, and so they're also seeing like, I'm putting myself out there. So I'm modeling the fact that I might be nervous to perform and have people judge me or comment or whatever, but it's okay. And like, I'm still standing, I'm still good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because people will be crazy in your comments, so you have to be okay with it. With kids videos, if you have your channel marked as a for kids, you can't comment. So that's not even a control I can control. But back when I was in theater and I was a makeup artist, I actually had I started it for fun, but I would do like some of my makeup looks. And I remember one person, it's funny, they subscribed after they left a comment saying, you look like a frog. And your face isn't round, you're just fat and you need to lose weight. And when I tell you, that bothered me for like 2 months.
That's what I'm saying.
Trying to pull back one of my chins. And
no, Kirby, you are beautiful.
Oh, thank you. But at the time, I was just like, but you subscribe, so why would you do that? And now I'm like, you know, if someone doesn't like it, it's okay, because even if there's one kid out there like my son likes up to, like, he'll watch my videos. I'll read a book to him in real life, and then he'll ask to watch the video still. I'm like, okay, you want TV, mommy? I could put the costume on if you want. But anywho, but I see how he lights up, and he does, like, if I'm giving an instruction to dance or something, he does it. So if there's just one more kid out there who does that, and I've had some moms message me, like my daughter, she says, like, the hi explorers when you come on, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that means the world to me. So you again, you have to be able to create, and don't be afraid to create, because there's an audience for you, and someone will appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm really excited to share your YouTube channel after this. Like I said, I'm going to share a bunch of links and stuff too, so y'all can follow Kirby. She's got some super cool stuff on the horizon. I know you're going to be doing some fun like collaborations and things like that too.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm super psyched. And doing some writing of some of your most of your performances you write yourself, right? Which is so cool.
I told my husband, I'm not going to say too much on it because I'm still nervous, but one of my plays, I'm taking a deep breath, like, I think this would be a really good kids book. So we'll see what happens with that. Okay. We were having a joking conversation one day, and I was like, I'm going to write that into a script. Could that be a book? So yeah, that was that. And that's exactly how it went, because I'm dramatic.
You would have a lot of people interested in that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, before you go, we're quick going to do our trivia question, because I have a handful of people here that are in the live today. So as you know, if you would like to grab one of these really cool rainbow stickers, I'm going to ask a trivia question here, and the first person to answer, you can just message the Art of Ed and say, hey, I won the sticker, give me your address, and then I will pop it in the mail for you. So the question is, again, type it in the chat if you know, we need to drum. The question is, what is Kirby's most memorable outfit that her son remembers and asks for? What is Kirby's most memorable outfit that her son requests? We'll get him. Give him like 5 more seconds. Hey! All right, KW. See, we got them all in there now. It's like a slow. Yeah, I wish I could do all the
yeah.
All right, KWP _Mrs. Nelson. Make
Yay!
sure after the chat that you go ahead and message the Art of Ed Instagram. Just DM us, and then I will send the sticker to you. Thank you all for joining us and for participating. Appreciate that so much. Kirby, this will be saved on IGTV, and thank you so much for sharing your gift with the world and not being afraid to post, because we need people like you making our kids excited about learning.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. This really was, I've been so excited all day. Like, Sarah.
I know, it's good. I'm excited. Your energy is contagious. I'm like, ooh, I'm awake now on a Monday.
I'm a cup of coffee. That's going to be I'm a whole cup of coffee.
You are a whole cup of coffee. I don't even need to have any caffeine. You just give it to me with your energy. It's perfect.
In about 1 hour, I'm going to be ready for bed. It's like big bursts of energy for me. And then I'm like this on the couch with myself and my husband.
I love it. I love it so much. All right, y'all. Well, thanks for watching. Thank you again for joining us, Kirby, and we will chat later.
Thank you. All right. Bye.
Bye.